All right, Thor Die Cow talking at you here. It's this week on Blu-ray and DVD. 6 titles to tell you about. We'll get right to it, starting with The Raid 2, arguably, in my mind, the greatest action film ever assembled. Bone-crunchingly fantastic. And this is the return of Iko Uwais. He's a martial arts star. He's the main star, and he's also a choreographer in this film. And in this one, he has to go undercover to infiltrate a corrupt organization. Take a look. Doctor, just a taste of what you'll get in The Raid 2, and the car chase scene is one of the signature action set pieces. The movie runs over 2.5 hours long, but it is non-stop. I've never seen such fights sequenced in such a beautiful manner and brutal way. The movie itself is graphic and gory, but at its core, it's got a wonderful drama, and it's anchored so well by great performances, and the fight scenes will leave you dazed and confused. You'll have to see it again just to keep up with everything. I loved everything about The Raid 2, and it's a different movie from the first one, because the first one was all set in one building. It was like an hour and a half long. This is like a sprawling crime epic that is up there with Scorsese and Coppola, man. This is unbelievable stuff. And Gareth Evans just doing incredible stuff with this Indonesian fight style that he brings to The Raid 2. So don't miss it. My favorite action film of all time, The Raid 2. I know it's a bold statement, but just check it out. Take my word for it. All right, next, Bad Words, starring Jason Bateman, and this is actually his directorial debut. And he stars as a man who finds a loophole in a spelling bee competition and decides to hijack all the other competitors. Have a look.
Have you figured out your favorite word?
No, I sure haven't.
Is it the F word?
He's up there.
Because you say it a lot.
Everyone should.
Not me. My father says bad words. What about your dad?
Never met him, but my mom said bad words a lot. And you can say bad words.
Yeah, this movie's very funny, and Jason Bateman plays actually quite an unlikable character. And when he's got the scenes with the boy, it turns very poignant. So there's a little bit of a message here. It's funny stuff, and for the first-time director, Jason Bateman, he really pulls off this comedy. He's got a great cast with him as well. Allison Janney, Rachel Harris, and Catherine Hahn, who plays a reporter, trying to discover the true motivation for his, reason for deciding to hijack the spelling bee. I won't give you the details away about why he does it. Very funny stuff, very funny, smart, and highly entertaining. And it'll be interesting to see what other films Jason Bateman has up his sleeve when it comes to directing. Okay, next we're going to be talking about a found footage film with a local twist, Afflicted. And this, of course, is the brainchild of Cliff Prowse and Derek Lee. They were on BT recently. They're from Vancouver. And this is about 2 guys who want to travel around the world. And once they do that, though, in the middle of their trip, it takes a dark and bloody turn. Just days in, one of the men shows signs of a mysterious affliction which starts to take over his entire body and being. So they're 1,000 miles away from home in a foreign land. They have to uncover the source before it consumes him completely. And basically, footage meant to be travel memories may now be evidence of one of the most shocking discoveries ever captured on film. So that's kind of how they use the found footage narrative in this one. It's almost in an evidence, kind of category. It's at its core a vampire story, but it really takes the genre and twists it on its head. I'm not always a fan of these kind of movies, but this one does it so well on a very modest budget. So these guys have incredible careers ahead of them. I love the local twist. Afflicted. You may be surprised if you like found footage in the same vein as Chronicle, The Blair Witch Project, and the vampire movies. It's very much like Paranormal Activity 2, but original enough to stand on its own because it builds the tension very well. I don't think you'll be disappointed with Afflicted. Check it out, and it's got a great Vancouver twist. All right, now we're going to talk about a wonderful little film out of India. This is starring Irfan Khan, who's one of my favorite Indian actors out there right now. And it's a delightful romantic story about 2 lonely people in India who find themselves corresponding when one of the Lunchbox delivery men makes a 1 in a million mix-up, and it has very touching performances from the lead actors. And Irfan is just wonderful. I loved him in Life of Pi. Basically what happens is the lunch that she's supposed to send to her husband ends up going to him, and he's just blown away by it. He can't believe the food. It's amazing. Her husband doesn't really always appreciate what she does for him and the lunches that she so painstakingly handcrafts. So they start corresponding with each other through a series of letters. Maybe gets a little more romantic, and the 2 of them find themselves in a place where they're so unhappy with their current lives, they may inevitably have to meet up. It's a great, touching story set in India with some wonderful performances, a great screenplay, and just a very touching, warm, romantic movie. This one is for the adults. I tell you, I cannot recommend it enough. The Lunchbox, check it out. A beautiful, wonderful, heartwarming film. All right, moving along, we're going to be talking about a TV series now that was originally on the Sci-Fi Network. Of course, we're talking Helix, and this is a little bit of a mix between The Thing and Outbreak, and it's about a team of scientists who embark on a dark Arctic expedition to research a viral outbreak with terrifying effects. Now, while they're there, they find themselves exposed to grave dangers, and the fate of humanity could be hinging on their survival. So you get 13 episodes of this one on the Blu-ray and the DVD, along with cast and crew commentaries, deleted scenes, all new featurettes, including dissecting the characters, the art of isolation, and the future of disease. And you may remember Billy Campbell from The Killing. He was also the Rocketeer. He's great in this show, and I like the characters, the script. It takes a little bit of getting into. It's a bit of a slow burn at first, but once it gets going, man, it is firing at all cylinders and builds the tension really well, because you have that sort of isolated outpost setting with just a handful of characters being stuck in this scientific realm where this outbreak causes huge potential harm and damage for humanity. Very scary stuff there, Helix. Okay, we're going to finish things off with a gem, and it's Jodorowsky's Dune. This is a documentary about Alejandro Jodorowsky, a cult film director behind El Topo and The Holy Mountain. Back in the 70s, long before the David Lynch film, he tried to make an adaptation of Frank Herbert's Dune. It never happened, but it was quite an ambitious project. This is the story of that attempted movie.
3,000 drawings. I shoot the picture, point of view, movement of the camera, dialogue.
Designing the spaceships, the clothes, the whole look of his world.
The castle. Open the mouth. The spaceship came in the tongue.
His vision was so huge, so beyond what anybody else was doing at that time. Things that
incredible film. I mean, just looking at the art design, the drawings, the storyboards that they had for this film, it was ready to go. They couldn't get the financing from the major studios, but he had everyone from Dali to David Carradine to Pink Floyd to Orson Welles all involved in this project. It was almost too big to ever see the light of day, but the story of it is fascinating and gripping, and to hear Jodorowsky himself there talk about it, and you see the passion still in his eyes. Oh yeah, Giger was even involved in some of the design. Incredible, the team they had for this movie. It never happened. Check out Jodorowsky's Dune to see why and to look at all the elements that went into it, and not only that, but all the influence that the early designs and sketches had on subsequent science fiction films down the road. If you're a history film buff and you like sci-fi, Jodorowsky's Dune is a must-see. There you go, people. That's it. I'm Thor Diecow. Check me out on Twitter @ThorDiecow. Let me know what you thought of these titles. We'll see you next week on breakfasttelevision.ca.